Moor was a town with a deceptive tranquility. Nestled deep in the woods, it appeared to be an idyllic place where crime was practically non-existent and everyone knew each other's names. But Moor had its secrets, dark and festering beneath the surface, just like the murky waters that concealed a far more sinister truth. Eugene and Ben were among those secrets. Eugene, in his late 60s, was short and round, with a shock of grey hair and a penchant for violence that had never truly faded. Ben, his son, was a stark contrast, tall, lanky, with a gaunt face marked by high cheekbones, a bird-like hooked nose, and dark, almost reptilian eyes. Ben's jealousy was legendary, a burning streak that made him the more formidable and ruthless of the two. In their secluded home, hidden away from prying eyes, Eugene and Ben had built their own dark world. The basement was the heart of it, a place where nightmares came to life. But no one knew about the basement, at least, not until it was too late. Ben's suspicions about his girlfriend had been gnawing at him for weeks. He couldn't shake the feeling that she was talking to someone else behind his back. The suspicion ate at him, driving him to the brink of madness. One day, he decided to act on it. Colin and Fred were the unfortunate targets of his paranoia. Colin, a notorious cheat, and Fred, a small-town drug dealer with a knack for lying, were easy to lure. Ben invited them over under the pretense of playing video games, a casual night with beers and laughs. Eugene stood by, guarding the doors to ensure no one could escape. Ben let Colin and Fred get comfortable, handing them beers and chatting as if everything was perfectly normal. But beneath his calm exterior, a storm was brewing. As the night wore on, Ben's demeanor changed. He pulled a gun, his voice cold and emotionless as he ordered them to stand. "We're going for a little walk," he said, the threat in his tone unmistakable. Colin and Fred, bewildered and terrified, complied. Eugene followed closely, his presence a silent reminder of the danger they were in. Ben led them through the house, his grip on the gun steady and unwavering. When they reached the basement door, Colin and Fred noticed the dampness. A strange, unsettling moisture seemed to cling to the air, growing stronger as they descended the stairs. Their feet splashed into the water, the basement filled waist-deep with a murky, stagnant liquid. "Fred, you're up first," Ben said, his voice devoid of emotion. Fred, confused and desperate, looked at Ben with pleading eyes. "Ben, what's going on? We've been friends our whole lives. Why are you doing this?" Ben's eyes were cold, reptilian in their lack of empathy. "Get in the water," he repeated, his hand splashing around to stir the surface. The faint light of the moon, filtering through the small windows near the ceiling, cast an eerie glow on the water. It was then that they saw it, a massive alligator head, barely breaking the surface, eyes glinting in the moonlight. Fred's panic was palpable, but the gun in Ben's hand kept him frozen. "Lydia," Ben called out, his voice oddly affectionate. The alligator, Lydia, surged forward with terrifying speed. She tore into Fred, her powerful jaws snapping shut with a sickening crunch. Blood filled the water, turning it a dark, frenzied red. Fred's screams were short-lived, his body quickly reduced to shredded flesh floating on the surface. Colin, having urinated in his pants, was trembling uncontrollably. Ben turned his cold gaze to him, a wicked smile playing on his lips. "Well, go on. It's your turn." Colin let out a high-pitched scream, his terror overwhelming. He was useless, pathetic, a man who thrived on chaos and deceit. Ben had no sympathy for him. He shoved Colin into the water, the man's desperate attempts to escape only fueling Ben's dark satisfaction. Lydia wasted no time. She grabbed Colin and dragged him beneath the surface. His legs thrashed wildly, but it was futile. Lydia's powerful body twisted, snapping his neck with ease. The water bubbled briefly before growing still, Colin's lifeless body disappearing into the depths. Ben watched with a twisted sense of pleasure. He never knew if either of them were truly involved with his girlfriend, but it didn't matter. The sight of their brutal deaths replayed in his mind, a macabre reel that he delighted in. Days passed, and Lydia feasted on the remains, the basement silent except for the occasional splash as she moved through the water. Eugene and Ben went about their days, the darkness of their deeds hidden beneath the veneer of normalcy that Moore provided. Moore continued to appear peaceful, its residents blissfully unaware of the horrors lurking in their midst. The town's secrets remained buried, whispered only in the dead of night by those who dared to acknowledge them. But for Eugene and Ben, the darkness was a constant companion. The basement, with its murky water and its deadly inhabitant, was always there, a reminder of their true nature. And as Ben searched for his next victim, he knew that Lydia was waiting, ever hungry, ever ready to devour anyone who crossed their path. The night had claimed Colin and Fred, and it would claim others. For in Moore, beneath the tranquil surface, the darkness never truly slept.